G'day guys. So in game, one of the most often asked questions to me is, how do I get so many mutations? So these were my Palovian generations, going up 2 levels every time. Now I don't know how well this travels over into Arc Descended, but I think they did say that they still allow more than 20 mutations, so it might still work. Now from a wild tame like this kangaroo, you have 0, in the random mutations. So the parents of this baby had the best chance of getting a random mutation. Now the problem comes when you're past 20, like on this Sonoma crops, 427, so this Sonoma crops has 0 chance of getting a mutation. So what do you do when both the matrilineal and the patrilineal lines pass 20? Now I know you can just keep breeding your best male with wild tames like 0 wild tames and keep pushing the mutations up that way, but the odds of getting the mutation you want that way is really low. And most babies that you're popping are useless. So what I do is take your 2 parents that have passed 20 and start breeding them. And then just keep breeding the siblings together. You'll see the mutation number doubling every time. The reason you only want to use siblings is to achieve exponential growth. It'll start off slow but quickly accelerate. Now it doesn't take as long as you'd think, but the magic number you're trying to get to is about 1.4 billion. And it's probably about 35 generations. And I've recorded the moment it happened here. So the computer wasn't able to calculate that number that big, and it tripped over into negative numbers. The number won't change, but it'll change negative. Now the trick is that a negative number counts as a 0. So now what you need to do is make sure your male is at least dropping a negative baby. Once you have a load of negatives, split them into breeding pairs, using at least your top stat males. For this step it doesn't matter what the female is. Now once you've got the babies, check them. So this baby is both positive, so that means both the parents can't drop mutations. So here only the female's good, has a negative. The male cannot drop mutations. Here both are negative, which means this baby had the best chance of getting mutation. The same as if it was a wild tame. So the male that produced this baby becomes the new breeder. Ideally your females will drop negatives as well, but with females it's always going to be a numbers game. As long as the male drops negatives, you've always got a chance. And now you're back to breeding, so only ever keep the top stats and the mutations. And if you get a mutation that you don't want on something you don't want, always kill it. You don't want to contaminate the bloodline and make everything complicated. So here 246 was the top stat, and we're looking for 248s for mutations. So that's a 248. And it is a Malay mutation. Another mutation, and it's a health. And a third mutation, and it's another Malay. So you can drop a lot of mutations as long as you're dropping negative babies. Eggs are always easier, so 327 parents and a Malay and a health mutation. And notice the parents are both big number negatives. So even if you forget everything else, just make sure your male drops negative babies and you'll get mutations. Now once you get too many mutations, you'll start hitting 450 level cap. What you have to do then is strip off the stats that you don't want. You can either tame a level 5 or better, go to the beginner servers and tame a level 1 and transfer that out into the open servers. So a level 1 is actually a level 0. It has no stats above its base stats. So breed your best male with a load of cloned level 1s until you've stripped off everything you don't want. In this case it's like stamina, oxygen, speed. I was able to remove the stamina and speed for this one, leaving room for more mutations. And the process continues. Raise this one, breed it with a load of females, split up all the males, find the male that drops a negative, and that becomes your new breeder. Anyway, that's how to breed for mutations. In the rest of the video I'll just go through a few other tips that you may not know. An unclaimed Maywing will automatically raise unclaimed babies. So as long as you don't need an imprint, you can raise a baby without any input other than fill in a Maywing. And they won't have an imprint name, so it hides whoever owns it. Just make sure your Maywing's always full and unclaimed. The babies will continually pop out and raise on their own. So this was my bird pen. All the breeders up the top. Constantly dropping eggs down onto incubators. And the top stat males housed up the top. This is another big one that was made. To stock up on soakers. This one could easily get out of hand if left alone for a few days. You can imprint with this technique, but you're better off waiting until after the timer would be up. So after claiming, it's immediately available to imprint. If I'd claimed it before the 8 hours was up, it'd reset and you'd have to wait another 8 hours. Here's another tip, remote breeding. I use this all the time with palovias, so just do this in a remote area that's not likely to be rendered in. So you can breed them, go away, and come back the next day, and the babies will be ready to claim. So the babies are only born once they're rendered in. Another tip, use a lift to make them go for a walk. If you don't have much horizontal space but plenty of vertical, just have them follow you and go up on a lift. So vertical distance will work the same as horizontal distance. Remember, you can use kangaroos to get double imprints. It needs to be in the pouch of a mate-boosted female kangaroo. Combining the kangaroo with the baby boon mission on Gen 2 takes the imprint from 16 up to 75. Use the elixir collected by the Desmodus and blood packs. So look at the tame and drink the elixir yourself to give the tame a 30% imprint bonus. Normally you can only have 3 incubators in one area, so just load 3 onto a platform saddle, and you can have as many platform saddles as you want. And that works the same with boats as well. Another way to achieve this is to synchronize with a tribe mate and place them down at exactly the same time. So here we got 4 down in this small area. And here's another one for the bobs that don't know anything. Suspend your breeders by placing them on a structure, then demolishing the structure underneath them, to give easy access to the babies and the eggs. One last tip, go to your enemy's server, unclaim your babies, then re-steal them using a Maywing. That'll transfer your home server to theirs. It'll hide your server and confuse them a little on theirs. Anyway, that's it. If you have any other tips for breeding, leave me in the comments below.